Welcome to Tom's True Crime. Emily Traberg and Hannah Atsonnic seemed the picture of suburban bliss. Their beautiful house was the envy of the neighborhood, with its wraparound porch and expertly landscaped gardens. To outsiders, they appeared to have it all: successful careers, a beautiful home, and a loving partnership. Emily is a popular dentist known for her exceptional skills and ability to put her patients at ease. With a calm, compassionate demeanor and a gentle approach, she effortlessly alleviates any anxiety her patients may have about dental procedures. Her office is a welcoming space where patients feel comfortable and well cared for, thanks to her personalized attention and thorough explanations. Emily's dedication to her craft, combined with her ability to create a relaxing environment, has earned her a loyal following of patients who trust her for both routine checkups and more complex dental treatments. By age 40, she built a thriving dental practice. Her ambition was matched only by her work ethic, often putting in 60-hour weeks. In contrast, Hannah Atsonnic preferred a quieter life. The 41-year-old freelance website developer worked from a home office. With her artistic flair and easygoing nature, she provided a calming counterbalance to Emily's Type A personality. Where Emily craved the spotlight, Hannah was content to work behind the scenes. The women's paths first crossed at a local gym in the spring of 2018. Emily and Hannah keep running into each other at exercise classes. They started chatting. Their friendship blossomed into romance. For Emily, the relationship offered stability after years of unfulfilling flings. She'd long ago accepted that her demanding career left little room for a personal life. In Hannah, she found someone who understood the pressures of self-employment and valued independence. Hannah, meanwhile, was drawn to Emily's confidence and zest for life. Having ended a long-term relationship the year before, she'd resigned herself to focusing on her career. Emily's passionate nature reignited a spark Hannah thought she'd lost. As their bond deepened, the women discovered shared interests in travel, fine wine, and home renovation. Weekends were spent exploring quaint New England towns or tackling DIY projects around the house. They challenged each other to step outside their comfort zones. Emily convinced Hannah to try skydiving, while Hannah introduced Emily to meditation. Friends and family remarked on how the relationship brought out the best in both women. Emily softened some of her harder edges, while Hannah gained confidence in social situations. They seemed to complement each other perfectly, filling in the gaps in each other's personalities. After 2 years of dating, Emily proposed during a sunset hot air balloon ride. Hannah, overcome with emotion, said yes before Emily could even finish asking the question. They began planning an intimate fall wedding, eager to begin the next chapter of their lives together. As they settled into domestic bliss, neither woman could have predicted the turbulent waters that lay ahead. The solid foundation they'd built would soon be tested in ways they never imagined, with devastating consequences. Emily and Hannah exchanged vows on a crisp October afternoon in 2020. The intimate ceremony, held in the backyard of their newly purchased home, was attended by only their closest friends and family. Fairy lights twinkled in the trees as the brides, resplendent in tailored white pantsuits, pledged their love and commitment. The reception that followed was a joyous affair, with guests dancing under the stars long into the night. Emily's maid of honor recalled how the newlyweds couldn't keep their eyes off each other, stealing kisses and private moments throughout the evening. It seemed the perfect start to their new life together. The first year of marriage was a whirlwind of domestic bliss. Weekends were spent exploring local farmers markets, hosting dinner parties for friends, and tackling home improvement projects. They fell into an easy rhythm, with Emily handling the finances and Hannah taking charge of household management. As their second anniversary approached, however, subtle cracks began to form in their picture-perfect facade. Emily's workload increased dramatically. She was spending more time at the dental practice. Hannah, while supportive of her wife's career, began to feel neglected. Their once vibrant sex life had dwindled. Hannah found herself craving the passion and spontaneity of their early relationship. She tried to rekindle the spark with romantic gestures, surprise weekend getaways, intimate candlelit dinners. But Emily seemed distracted and unappreciative. For her part, Emily felt the weight of being the primary breadwinner. She'd always prided herself on providing a comfortable lifestyle, but the pressure to maintain their standard of living was taking its toll. She began to resent what she perceived as Hannah's more laid-back approach to work. Neither woman wanted to admit that the honeymoon phase had ended. They both clung to the idea of their perfect marriage, reluctant to voice their growing dissatisfaction. Instead, they buried their feelings and carried on with the routines of daily life. It was against this backdrop of unspoken tension that they made a fateful decision, one that would set in motion a chain of events neither could have foreseen. In an attempt to inject some excitement into their relationship, they decided to hire someone to maintain their neglected swimming pool. Little did they know, this seemingly innocuous choice would change their lives forever. As spring turned to summer in 2023, Emily and Hannah's once pristine backyard oasis had fallen into disrepair. The swimming pool, a key selling point when they purchased the home, sat unused and algae-filled. Neither woman had the time or inclination to tackle the maintenance themselves. It was Hannah who suggested hiring help, reasoning that a well-maintained pool would motivate them to spend more quality time outdoors together. Emily agreed, seeing it as a worthwhile investment in their property value. They placed an ad on a local job board, seeking a part-time pool maintenance worker. Among the handful of responses was an application from 19-year-old John Crosly. A recent high school graduate, John was taking a gap year to save money for college. He'd spent the previous 2 summers working for his uncle's pool cleaning business and came with glowing references. When John arrived for his interview, both women were struck by his youthful good looks. With sun-kissed skin, tousled hair, and piercing eyes, he could have stepped off the pages of a fashion magazine. Emily found herself fumbling over her words as she outlined the job requirements. Hannah, normally the more reserved of the pair, felt an unexpected flutter in her stomach as John flashed a dimpled smile. She caught herself staring at his muscular forearms as he described his experience with pool chemistry and filtration systems. Despite his young age, John impressed them with his knowledge and professionalism. He spoke of his plans to study environmental science, hoping to develop more eco-friendly pool treatment methods. His enthusiasm was infectious, and by the end of the interview, both women were charmed. They offered John the job on the spot, agreeing to a twice-weekly maintenance schedule. As he left, promising to start the following Monday, Emily and Hannah exchanged a look of unspoken understanding. There was an energy, a spark of something they hadn't felt in years. Over the next few weeks, John became a fixture in their backyard. He attacked the pool cleanup with vigor, transforming the murky water into a sparkling blue haven. Emily found herself lingering over her morning coffee, watching from the kitchen window as John skimmed leaves in nothing but swim trunks. Hannah, meanwhile, began timing her work to coincide with John's visits. She'd bring him cold drinks, engaging him in conversations about his interests and aspirations. His youthful optimism was a breath of fresh air, reminding her of the passion she'd once felt for her own career. As the summer heat intensified, so too did the tension in the Traberg Atsonnic household. John's presence had awakened something in both women, a longing for excitement, for the thrill of new possibilities. Neither could have predicted just how far they would go to recapture that feeling, or the dire consequences that would follow. The catalyst came on a sweltering August afternoon. Emily had taken a rare day off work, hoping to surprise Hannah with a romantic lunch. Instead, she arrived home to find her wife and John in what appeared to be an intimate moment by the pool. Though nothing overtly inappropriate was happening, the air crackled with unspoken desire. That night, after John had gone home, Emily confronted Hannah about the obvious attraction. To her surprise, Hannah didn't deny it. What followed was a brutally honest conversation about the state of their marriage and their unfulfilled needs. It was Emily who first floated the idea. What if they invited John to join them in the bedroom? The suggestion hung in the air, both thrilling and terrifying. They spent hours discussing boundaries, potential risks, and what it might mean for their relationship. By the time dawn broke, they had reached a tentative agreement to explore the possibility. Approaching John proved easier than they'd anticipated. The young man, flattered and excited by the proposition, eagerly agreed to their terms. What began as a one-time experiment quickly evolved into a regular arrangement. John would finish his pool maintenance duties, then join the women inside for more intimate activities. At first, the threesome seemed to breathe new life into Emily and Hannah's marriage. They rediscovered a passion and playfulness long absent from their sex life. Emily found John's youthful energy invigorating, while Hannah was drawn to his gentle nature and eagerness to please. For John, it was a fantasy come to life. 2 beautiful, accomplished women lavishing him with attention. They settled into a routine of sorts. Tuesdays and Fridays became their designated date nights with John. The women would prepare a lavish dinner, sharing wine and conversation before retiring to the bedroom. John would slip out in the early morning hours, leaving Emily and Hannah to reconnect in the afterglow. For a few blissful weeks, it seemed they had found the perfect solution to their marital doldrums. Emily and Hannah were more affectionate with each other, stealing kisses and holding hands like newlyweds. They talked, and the tension that had built up over months finally dissipating. But beneath the surface, subtle shifts were occurring. Hannah began texting John throughout the day, sharing inside jokes and flirtatious banter. Emily found herself going out of her way to bump into John around town, manufacturing reasons to see him outside their arranged meetings. Neither woman wanted to admit that their carefully negotiated arrangement was veering off course. They convinced themselves that a little harmless flirtation was natural, that it didn't threaten the primacy of their marriage. But as summer waned and autumn approached, the delicate balance they'd struck began to teeter. Unbeknownst to each other, both Emily and Hannah were falling for John in their own ways. What had started as a shared adventure was rapidly becoming a competition, one that would ultimately tear their lives apart. The first cracks in their seemingly perfect arrangement appeared in late September. Hannah had planned a special birthday surprise for John, a vintage record player he'd mentioned wanting. When she presented it to him during one of their Friday night dinners, Emily was visibly taken aback. The gift seemed far too personal, too thoughtful for what was supposed to be a casual sexual relationship. Emily's discomfort only grew as she watched Hannah and John pore over the record collection, heads bent close together as they discussed obscure bands. She felt like an outsider in her own home, excluded from their shared enthusiasm. That night, for the first time since they'd begun their arrangement, Emily begged off joining them in the bedroom, claiming a headache. The incident marked a turning point. Emily began to scrutinize every interaction between Hannah and John, searching for signs of a deeper connection. She noticed the lingering touches, the private smiles, the way Hannah's eyes lit up when John entered the room. Paranoia set in, convincing her that they were carrying on behind her back. Hannah, for her part, was oblivious to her wife's growing unease. She was caught up in the excitement of new love, relishing the butterflies she felt around John. It reminded her of the early days with Emily, that heady rush of possibility. She told herself it was harmless, that she could balance her feelings for both Emily and John without anyone getting hurt. The situation came to a head on a rainy Tuesday evening in early October. Emily arrived home early from work to find Hannah and John curled up on the couch, watching a movie. The intimacy of the scene, Hannah's head on John's shoulder, his arm draped casually around her, sent Emily into a rage. She exploded, hurling accusations of betrayal and deceit. Hannah, stunned by the outburst, tried to defend herself, insisting that nothing untoward had happened. John, caught in the crossfire, attempted to mediate, but his presence only fueled Emily's anger. The argument escalated quickly. Harsh words were exchanged, years of pent-up resentments bubbling to the surface. Hannah accused Emily of being controlling and possessive. Emily fired back, calling Hannah selfish and immature. John, overwhelmed by the volatility of the situation, fled the house. In the aftermath of the blow-up, an uneasy truce settled over the household. Emily and Hannah tiptoed around each other, neither willing to address the elephant in the room. Their once open communication had devolved into terse exchanges about household chores and schedules. John became the unwitting pawn in their power struggle. Both women vied for his attention, scheduling solo pool maintenance sessions that had little to do with actual cleaning. Emily showered him with expensive gifts, designer clothes, the latest iPhone, in an attempt to win his loyalty. Hannah appealed to his emotions, confiding in him about her troubled marriage and positioning herself as the vulnerable one in need of protection. For his part, John was both flattered and overwhelmed by the attention. At 19, he lacked the emotional maturity to navigate the complex dynamics at play. He genuinely cared for both women and hated feeling like he had to choose between them. But as the tension in the house ratcheted up, he found himself increasingly drawn to Hannah's gentler nature. As October wore on, the situation became untenable. The once happy home was now a battleground of passive-aggressive sniping and icy silences. Emily threw herself into work, taking on more listings and spending long hours at the office. Hannah retreated into her art, churning out dark, chaotic pieces that reflected her inner turmoil. Something had to give. The powder keg of emotions was primed to explode. It was only a matter of time before a spark ignited the inevitable conflagration. November 12, 2023, dawned gray and blustery, as if nature itself sensed the tragedy about to unfold. Emily woke early, her mind racing with a plan she'd been formulating for days. She was determined to end the affair once and for all, to reclaim her wife and her life. She called in sick to work, something she never did, and spent the morning preparing carefully. She cleaned the house from top to bottom, arranged Hannah's favorite flowers throughout the rooms, and began preparing an elaborate dinner. In her mind, this would be the night they reconnected and put the whole sordid affair behind them. Hannah arrived home in the late afternoon, surprised to find Emily there. The tension between them was obvious, as Emily explained her desire to talk things through. Hannah agreed, but insisted on postponing their discussion until after dinner. She needed time to gather her thoughts and to warn John not to come over as planned. As Hannah showered and changed, Emily uncorked a bottle of expensive red wine. She poured herself a large glass, hoping to calm her nerves. By the time Hannah emerged, Emily was on her second glass, her carefully rehearsed speech beginning to slip away. They sat down to eat, the silence broken only by the clink of cutlery on china. Emily tried to steer the conversation towards reconciliation, but Hannah remained guarded. As the wine flowed, Emily's composure began to crack. Her pleas turned to accusations, her voice rising with each unanswered question. Just as the argument was reaching a fever pitch, the doorbell rang. Emily froze, wineglass halfway to her lips. Hannah's face drained of color. They both knew who it was before Emily yanked open the front door to reveal John, looking confused and concerned. What happened next was a blur of shouting and recriminations. Emily, fueled by alcohol and rage, lashed out at both Hannah and John. As the night wore on, a clearer picture began to emerge. Neighbors reported hearing shouting coming from the house earlier in the evening. One mentioned seeing John's car parked down the street several times a week, always late at night. Another recalled a heated argument between Emily and Hannah in their front yard the previous week. The physical evidence told its own story. Wine glasses and a half-eaten meal on the dining room table. A shattered vase and dents in the drywall. Most damning of all, Emily's fingerprints on the kitchen island where Hannah had struck her head. By dawn, Turner had enough to file preliminary charges. Emily Traberg would be booked for second-degree murder. John Crosly was released but told not to leave town, as further questioning would be necessary. As Turner left the scene, she couldn't shake a feeling of sadness. 3 lives irrevocably changed in the space of a few hours. A community's sense of safety shattered. And at the heart of it all, a cautionary tale of love, jealousy, and the dangerous games people play with each other's hearts. In the days following Hannah Atsonic's death, Detective Turner and her team worked tirelessly to piece together the events leading up to that fateful night. They combed through cell phone records, interviewed friends and colleagues, and dug deep into the couple's financial history. What emerged was a complex web of deceit and manipulation. Text messages revealed that both Emily and Hannah had been carrying on separate emotional affairs with John, each believing they were the only one. John's phone contained hundreds of messages from both women, ranging from flirtatious banter to explicit photos. Financial records showed large withdrawals from Emily's personal account, coinciding with expensive gifts given to John. Hannah, it seemed, had been planning to leave Emily. She had recently opened a separate bank account and had been researching apartments in a nearby city. Interviews with friends and family painted a picture of a marriage that had been unraveling for months. Emily's coworkers described her as increasingly distracted and prone to mood swings. Hannah's best friend revealed that Hannah had confided in her about falling in love with John and wanting to start a new life with him. John, for his part, was revealed to be less innocent than he initially appeared. Further investigation uncovered a pattern of him insinuating himself into the lives of wealthy older women, exchanging companionship for financial gain. While he claimed to have genuine feelings for both Emily and Hannah, his actions suggested a more calculated approach. The case took an unexpected turn when forensic analysis of Hannah's computer revealed a draft email to a divorce attorney. In it, she expressed fear for her safety, citing Emily's increasingly erratic behavior and verbal threats. This raised the possibility that Emily's actions on the night of Hannah's death were premeditated, rather than a heat-of-the-moment accident. As the investigation progressed, public opinion began to shift. Initial sympathy for Emily as a wronged wife gave way to shock at the extent of her deception. John, once viewed as a naive victim, was now seen as a cunning manipulator who had played both women for his own gain. The email about Emily's threats could be crucial in proving intent. As the day for the preliminary hearing approached, Turner felt confident in the strength of the prosecution's case. But she knew from experience that in matters of the heart, the truth was often more complicated than it appeared. The trial would not only determine Emily's fate, but would also force a community to confront uncomfortable truths about the secrets that can lurk behind closed doors. The trial of Emily Traberg began on a crisp spring morning, nearly 6 months after Hannah Atsonic's death. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters and curious onlookers, all eager to catch a glimpse of the woman at the center of the scandal that had rocked Oakwood Estates. Inside, the courtroom was a study in contrasts. Emily, once the picture of polished professionalism, appeared gaunt and disheveled in her prison jumpsuit. Her eyes, once sharp and confident, now darted nervously around the room. On the other side sat Hannah's family, her parents, sister, and best friend, their faces etched with grief and anger. The prosecution, led by the formidable district attorney Steve Lopez, painted a damning picture of Emily as a manipulative, jealous woman who had lashed out in a drunken rage when she realized she was losing control. They emphasized the physical evidence, the wine bottles, the shattered vase, Emily's fingerprints on the kitchen island, and Hannah's email expressing fear for her safety. John Crosly, testifying under immunity, proved to be a compelling witness. He described in detail the escalating tensions between Emily and Hannah and recounted Emily's threats on the night of Hannah's death. Under cross-examination, he admitted to his own role in manipulating both women, his voice breaking as he expressed remorse for his actions. The defense team, led by high-profile attorney Michael Thomas, argued that Hannah's death was a tragic accident. They portrayed Emily as a woman desperate to save her marriage, pushed to the breaking point by her wife's infidelity. They questioned John's credibility, suggesting he was framing Emily to protect himself. The jury deliberated for 4 days before reaching a verdict. In a hushed courtroom, with cameras broadcasting the moment to millions of viewers, the foreman stood to deliver their decision. Emily Traberg was found guilty of second-degree murder. As the verdict was read, a collective gasp rippled through the courtroom. Emily collapsed into her chair, composure finally shattering as the reality of her situation sank in. Hannah's family embraced, tears of relief and lingering sorrow streaming down their faces. At the sentencing hearing 2 weeks later, Emily was given 25 years to life in prison. She addressed the court, expressing deep remorse for her actions and apologizing to Hannah's family. Whether her words were sincere or a last attempt at leniency, only Emily truly knew. John Crosly, though not charged in Hannah's death, did not escape unscathed. His reputation in tatters, he left San Francisco to start a new life, carrying the weight of his role in the tragedy. If you'd like to support our channel and help us to continue to make content, please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It helps us so much, and we really appreciate it.